Stephanie McMahon has officially exposed new backstage tension between Triple H and The Rock. Reports say a growing power struggle inside WWE's front office is clashing over the company's long-term creative direction. Keep watching to see the legendary multi-time world champion caught right in the middle of this explosive executive feud. Here's the thing about the Attitude Era. It made legends, but it also made enemies. And the two biggest names to come out of that period were Triple H and The Rock. Triple H and The Rock had an intense on-ring rivalry during the late 90s and early 2000s in WWE, but what most people watching at home didn't realize was that the hostility on-screen was barely a costume draped over something far more real happening behind the curtain. Bruce Pritchard has commented on the tense relationship between the two during an interview, mentioning that it was born out of jealousy on the part of Triple H, and that during their feud in 1997, the animosity between them was at its peak. Think about that. Two guys working a scripted rivalry, and the real feelings were actually worse than what you were watching on TV. That's not something you see every day. And Stephanie McMahon, she was right there in the middle of all of it. She saw it backstage. She lived with one half of the feud. And now, through her podcast and public interviews, the stories are coming out piece by piece. And they paint a picture that goes way beyond what any storyline writer could have scripted. In the mid to late 1990s, the WWE legends battled over the Intercontinental Championship before moving into the main event picture. Although they are now good friends, the former opponents disliked each other in real life when their characters began feuding on television. But the origin of that dislike, the actual moment it started, goes all the way back to The Rock's very first match in the company. WWE legend Steve Lombardi, known as the Brooklyn Brawler, spoke about Triple H and The Rock's initial backstage relationship. And recounted an incident before The Rock's first match where Triple H came up to him and started sledging him. He told the story like this. Triple H walked up to The Rock, pointed out the Intercontinental title he was about to win, and made a comment that basically told this kid from Miami he didn't belong. Triple H said to The Rock, "This is your very first match?" Rock replied, "Yeah." Triple H followed with, "You know I'm gonna be the Intercontinental Champion." Rock, not wanting to be cocky, shot back that it was the same title his promoter grandmother had him wear, suggesting Triple H would enjoy it when he wore it. And Triple H fired back, "Maybe you could take a picture with me with it and buy some ring gear." That's the very first conversation between two men who would go on to define an era, not a handshake, not a welcome, to the locker room, a dig, and it set the tone for everything that came after. Now, the Intercontinental title ended up being the first battleground between them. The Rock and Triple H feuded over the Intercontinental Championship in 1997, and after going their separate ways for a little bit, these two collided again in 2000 with the top prize in the company, the WWE Championship, on the line. Between those two feuds, years passed, but the bad blood didn't go anywhere. And it wasn't just Triple H himself that The Rock had a problem with. It was the circle around him. Bret Hart saw great things in The Rock and stood by his side as Triple H, and Shawn Michaels tried to bury him. That's right, the heat wasn't just from one direction. The Rock was walking into a locker room where some of the most powerful men in the industry were actively rooting against him. Bret Hart himself commented on the backstage animosity and mentioned that both Shawn Michaels and Triple H were pushing for Hart to beat Rock for his newly won Intercontinental title, but Hart refused. So here you have The Rock, new to the company, still figuring out his footing, and there's an active effort to slow him down, to keep him from getting too big, too fast. The two emerging superstars at the time were put on opposing ends, with The Rock given a lot of promotion from WWE during his initial days, despite not being loved as much by fans. That's the context. The Rock was being pushed hard by management, while the locker room veterans weren't exactly rolling out the welcome mat. And Triple H's method of pushing back wasn't just backstage grumbling. It spilled onto television. Triple H and The Rock were given scripts for their promos. But during the segments, Triple H would go off the script and bury The Rock during his promos, while Rocky followed what was given to him after one particular segment. Between the two, The Rock was extremely mad and complained about it to Bruce Pritchard, irate at the fact that he was following orders while Triple H was taking liberties. That's the thing that makes this so compelling. The Rock was playing by the rules. Triple H was rewriting them mid-promo, and Stephanie McMahon, who was becoming increasingly central to WWE's creative and corporate life, was watching all of it unfold from an angle nobody else had. Now, to understand just how tangled Stephanie McMahon's position really was, you have to understand the timeline of her personal life, running parallel to all of this on-screen and off-screen chaos. It's well established that Stephanie McMahon and Triple H's love story blossomed after they were paired together for a storyline on TV. It didn't take long for kayfabe to become a reality, as Triple H and Stephanie began dating midway through their on-screen romance in 2000. Think about what that means. She's falling for a man who at that exact same moment is in the middle of a genuine, documented, well-sourced real-life feud with the other biggest star in the company. She's not an outside observer, she's inside the house. While the couple eventually went public about their relationship, there was speculation going around backstage amongst the talent regarding the equation between Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Nobody wanted to say it out loud, but everyone could see it. And it was Mick Foley, of all people, who eventually got the clearest picture of what was happening. During one of their conversations, Mick Foley revealed that Big Show was the first superstar to mention the apparent affair between McMahon and Triple H. The WWE Hall of Famer initially refused to believe the rumors until he closely started observing Triple H and Stephanie perform on TV. Unlike the early days of their alliance, the duo had stopped being overly lovey-dovey, which, as per Mick Foley, was a sign of them actually being in a romantic relationship. That's a fascinating detail. The more real it got between them, the more they dialed back the performance of it publicly. And Foley only figured it out because something was missing. The exaggerated on-screen affection had cooled, and that told him everything. Now, here's where Stephanie's role becomes truly unique in this whole story. Paul, Triple H Levesque, and Stephanie McMahon's love story played out on television, when the two were paired for a storyline that led to them developing feelings for one another. During an appearance on McMahon's podcast, Levesque recounted the early reactions to their angle and how both their mothers quickly realized it wasn't a storyline. Their mothers knew before the locker room did. That's the level of authenticity that was bleeding through the screen. And while Triple H and Stephanie were navigating this new real relationship, they were still professionally tangled up with The Rock in a very high-stakes, very public way. On the Impulsive podcast, Triple H reminisced about SummerSlam 2000 when he, The Rock, and Kurt Angle were battling it out for The Rock's WWF Championship. The storyline had been well developed. Kurt Angle had a crush on Stephanie McMahon, who was Triple H's real and on-screen wife, and this provided a love triangle that imbued the storyline. So let's sit with that for a second. Stephanie McMahon, at the exact moment she and Triple H are secretly falling in love in real life, is also playing the centerpiece of an on-screen love triangle involving both her real partner and The Rock's championship. The lines between real and scripted had completely dissolved, and the people who had to navigate that were Triple H, The Rock, and Stephanie, together, every week. They had scripted out a plan to make it look like Triple H was going to slam Kurt Angle through a table with a pedigree, making him look like he was out cold. They had even included a detail about a stretcher to push the point all the way. And then, in the middle of one of the most emotionally and professionally complex moments of all their careers, everything went sideways. Kurt Angle's concussion during that match threw everything into chaos. A botched pedigree had concussed Angle at SummerSlam 2000. Triple H and The Rock improvised flawlessly, hiding the chaos from the crowd. And Stephanie came out literally dragging the injured Kurt Angle back to the ring because the show must go on. She held the whole thing together. And Triple H, the man who genuinely disliked The Rock just as much as The Rock disliked him, had to work hand in hand with his rival in real time to save the match. Stephanie McMahon's role in the love triangle, guiding a dazed Kurt Angle, kept the story alive, with Triple H noting she had him like a kid. That night at SummerSlam 2000 is one of the most layered moments in WWE history, because what looked like television was soaked in real-life emotion, real-life tension, and real-life love, all happening in the same ring at the same time. One of the most revealing details to come out of all these conversations and backstage accounts is the fact that Vince McMahon, the man who ran WWE and who happened to be Stephanie's father, was completely aware of the friction between Triple H and The Rock, and his response to it is one of the most telling moments in this whole saga. The A&E WWE Rivals episode featured stories about The Rock receiving backstage heat early on in his career. Triple H revealed that Vince McMahon offered to book him against another opponent due to his tension with The Rock. Vince sat Triple H down and essentially said, "Look, I know you two don't get along. I can move you somewhere else. I don't want this to be a problem." And Triple H's response? Pure pragmatism with a dose of something that sounds almost like respect, even through clenched teeth. Triple H told Vince, "Hold on a second, Vince. He and I are money in the ring together. It's magic. I don't give a stet how well we get along. I'm good working with him every night." There it is. The two men could barely stand each other as people, and Triple H knew it. But he also knew that their chemistry inside the ring was something that only happened once in a generation. So he told the boss, "Don't move me. Let me keep working with the guy I don't like, because the product is more important than my personal feelings." That's a significant thing to admit, and it tells you something about both men that even their bitterest critics can't take away from them. They were professionals. Triple H chalked it up to them being ultra-competitive individuals, and there's truth to this statement, as the locker room was fiercely competitive during the Attitude Era, with every superstar wanting to make it big. But Vince offering to separate them also confirms something important. The issues between them weren't just rumors. They weren't backstage whispers that got amplified by third parties. The backstage animosity was real, as confirmed by several people in the company. The boss knew, the agents knew, the locker room knew, and Stephanie, who was by this point building her life with Triple H, while still being the boss's daughter, knew better than anyone. Triple H later added that he and The Rock didn't get along because they both wanted to be known as WWE's #1 guy. He and I were fighting for the same spots. It was heated. At various points in time, he did not like me, and there were various points in time I did not like him. That kind of honesty, admitting mutual dislike openly, is rare in an industry where everything is supposed to be a work. And it lines up with what D'Lo Brown shared publicly, because Brown and The Rock were previously stablemates in the Nation of Domination in the WWE in the 1990s, with Brown witnessing The Rock and Triple H's backstage rivalry firsthand. Brown saw it from The Rock's corner. Triple H's own camp confirmed it. The veterans confirmed it. Vince McMahon tried to do something about it, and the person living inside the McMahon-Triple H household, Stephanie, was sitting at the intersection of all of it. The daughter of the man running the company, the partner of one of the two men at war. She had a view of this that literally nobody else on earth had. Now, the question that lingers over all of that backstage history is this. When these two powerful, competitive, stubborn men eventually both found themselves in management positions decades later, did any of that old war truly go away? Or did it just find a new uniform to wear? Fast forward to 2024. The landscape of WWE had completely transformed. After stepping down from her role as WWE co-CEO in January 2023, Stephanie McMahon had slowly begun to reconnect with the company. Triple H was now the chief content officer, the creative head of the entire operation, the man who took over from Vince McMahon. And then The Rock made a move that changed everything. The Rock joined TKO's board of directors in January 2024 following the WWE-UFC merger. That single move rearranged the entire power structure. Because now, you didn't just have two former rivals working in the same company, you had one of them sitting on the board above the other. Pride might have been dented when The Rock was appointed to TKO's board of directors, putting him above Triple H in the company's food chain. And the money involved wasn't small. The controversy centered on The Rock's notably silent social media presence regarding WWE, despite earning over $80 million as a TKO board director over 2 years, according to Wrestling Observer. That figure doesn't include merchandise earnings, WrestleMania pay, or live appearance fees. So The Rock is above Triple H in the org chart, earning a staggering amount and barely interacting with the product. Triple H is actually building week to week. You can imagine how that sits with a man who has spent decades grinding in WWE, first as a performer, then as a talent relations figure, then as the creative boss. The guy who took over from the guy who built the company, and the people in the room started talking. Dwayne Johnson's involvement as a member of the TKO board and his contributions to the creative process allegedly led to backstage conflict between him and Triple H during his appearance on the two-man Power Trip podcast. Wrestling veteran Jonathan Coachman opened up on the ongoing beef between the two, while also addressing the possible chance of Triple H's departure in the next few months. Coachman wasn't guessing. He made it very clear. I was in the room several times and know firsthand the real relationship between Rock and HHH. That's not speculation. That's someone claiming direct, first-hand knowledge of what goes on between these two men when the cameras aren't around. And then Vince Russo, the former head writer who lived in this world for years, weighed in with a take that cut to the bone. Talking on the Sportskeeda Wrestlers Binge Backstage Pass show, Russo said, "I don't care what you watch on TV. I don't care what you see backstage. I don't care about the 'Hey bro, how you doing?' Triple H and The Rock do not like each other at all." That's a direct, unambiguous claim from someone who spent years in WWE writing the scripts these men performed. And Russo wasn't alone. Russo has been convinced The Rock's disappearance from WWE television was due to a fallout with Triple H. Speaking to multiple outlets, Russo claimed the company is split into two camps, between the final boss and the game. Two camps, inside the same company. Two men who have been circling each other for 30 years, one holding creative control, one holding board-level power, and the people watching from the inside say the old fire never went out. It just moved from the ring to the conference room. Russo implied that Triple H doesn't have the same power over The Rock as he does with other stars, as The Rock's board position sits above the chief content officer role, and this has led to clashes between the two. That's the crux of it. Right there. Triple H built something. He rebuilt WWE from the ground up after Vince stepped away. And The Rock walked in board seat $80 million and a level of cultural cachet that no other wrestler alive can match, and sat above him without building day by day what Triple H built. Vince Russo put it plainly, "I think there's definitely a power struggle going on with Triple H and Rock without a shadow of a doubt." Now, through all of this, the Attitude Era grudges, the SummerSlam chaos, Vince trying to separate them, and now the modern boardroom Cold War, Stephanie McMahon has been quietly re-entering the picture. And what she's been saying in public piece by piece has been connecting dots that most people didn't even know existed. After stepping down from her role as WWE co-CEO, Stephanie reconnected with the company, appearing at the premiere of Raw on Netflix at the 2025 Royal Rumble, and as a guest on the Pat McAfee show. And then came the announcement that changed the conversation. On WrestleVotes Radio, it was revealed that a new podcast from WWE is in the works, featuring Stephanie McMahon, and the podcast is expected to feature Stephanie revealing lifelong stories, which should be interesting considering her long history in sports entertainment. Lifelong stories, that phrase carries weight when you understand who Stephanie McMahon is. Stephanie McMahon's professional and personal life is forever intertwined with WWE. Her father owned it, her husband oversees the current product, and she's been both an executive and a performer. She doesn't just know the history, she is the history. And the stories she tells aren't gossip from the outside. They're first-person accounts from the one woman who was in the room, in the ring, and in the family across every era of this feud. The WrestleMania 40 kickoff backstage moment crystallized just how real the modern tension is. During the WrestleMania 40 kickoff show, The Rock and Roman Reigns were involved in an emotionally charged segment with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. After the dust settled, interviewer Jackie Redmond attempted to interview Triple H backstage, but was rudely interrupted by The Rock, who dropped expletives. Redmond later talked about the surreal moment, revealing she was told to interview Triple H, something not planned, to recap what had happened, and thought things would be all right. They weren't all right. The Rock stormed in and derailed it, in front of cameras, at the biggest show of the year. And the question that hung in the air was that a work? Or was that the actual temperature between these men boiling over at the worst possible moment? Details of unscripted backstage beef between The Rock and Triple H in 2024 have been revealed. The two Attitude Era stars were always at odds in the ring, and that tension translated beyond the squared circle, and then came the disappearance. The Rock made several appearances in 2024, but disappeared from WWE TV after signaling John Cena's heel turn at Elimination Chamber despite everyone expecting him to play a role in the storyline. According to a backstage source, some members of the roster were legitimately confused by his absence at WrestleMania 41 because he didn't send any promos and make promotional media around it. In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer shared updates on the backstage issues, noting that his inside sources claimed that while The Rock is close to CEO Nick Khan, Triple H has mostly received what he has wanted creatively. So Triple H is winning the creative battles, but The Rock sits above him structurally. And neither man is saying much publicly. That's the power of Stephanie's position in all of this. She doesn't have to say everything outright. Every story she tells, every detail she confirms, every account she puts on the record adds another layer to a picture that the wrestling world has been trying to piece together for 30 years. She was there for the beginning, watching Triple H bully a rookie named Dwayne Johnson before his first match. She was there for the middle, caught inside a live television love triangle that was uncomfortably real. She was there when Vince tried to pull the plug on the feud, and Triple H said no. She was there when both men became management figures navigating the same corridors of power. There are numerous reports and allegations hinting that The Rock and Triple H are not on the same page. While neither has commented on it, reports and claims have been made since The Rock distanced himself from the weekly product heading into WrestleMania 41. Rikishi, a man who's known both of them personally for decades, gave his honest read on the situation. While Rikishi doesn't personally believe in the allegations of full-blown backstage heat, the WWE Hall of Famer thinks there's room for animosity between them, but claimed they are professional enough to do what's good for the promotion. Professional enough to do what's good for the promotion. That's the line Triple H himself drew back in the Attitude Era when he told Vince McMahon not to separate them. That professionalism, that willingness to set personal feelings aside for the good of the business, is the one thread that has connected every chapter of this story. But that's also exactly what makes Stephanie McMahon's re-emergence so significant, because she carries 3 decades of context that nobody else has. She watched it start. She lived inside it. She married one half of it, And now, through her podcast, through her public appearances, through the stories she's letting out in careful, considered pieces, she's telling the world what she's always known, that the drama between Triple H and The Rock was never just a storyline. It was always, underneath everything, deeply and completely real. A power struggle between WWE Chief Content Officer Triple H and TKO board member The Rock is rumored to be happening behind the scenes. And the woman who has been closest to that storm for longer than anyone, the daughter of the man who started the company, the wife of the man running it, is finally talking. The only question left is how much more she's willing to say. Triple H and The Rock do not like each other at all. Fandom Wire. Why Triple H and The Rock had a feud that extended beyond the ring. Wrestling Inc. Why The Rock Triple H didn't like each other in real life. The Sportster. Triple H says real-life tension with WWE legend led to unusual offer from Vince McMahon. Sportskeeda. The Rock and Triple H. The story behind their bitter feud. Pro wrestling stories. Backstage heat between Triple H and The Rock is real? Sportskeeda. Mick Foley on learning about Stephanie McMahon's hidden romantic relationship. Sportskeeda. The Rock versus Triple H, $80 million board director at center of WWE power struggle. Scoops. WWA power struggle between Triple H and The Rock, allegedly real. TJR Wrestling. WWE allegedly divided amid backstage heat between The Rock and Triple H. TJR Wrestling. New update on the Triple H The Rock backstage WWE issue. ITR Wrestling. Unscripted backstage beef between The Rock and Triple H in 2024. Sportskeeda. Triple H and The Rock's work with a concussed Kurt Angle. Fandom Wire. Stephanie McMahon is returning to WWE as podcast host. Newsweek. Stephanie McMahon's surprising role upon WWE return revealed. Sportskeeda. Triple H and Stephanie McMahon recall the beginning of their relationship. Yahoo Entertainment. Backstage details on the future of The Rock in WWE Wrestling World. D'Lo Brown thinks The Rock could attempt to buy WWE 411 Mania. https://411mania.com/wrestling. D'Lo Brown thinks The Rock attempt buy WWE Triple H rivalry.